On January 6th, thousands of rioters, many coming from Trump's Save America rally, stormed the U.S. Capitol as Congress met to certify the 2020 presidential election results. The insurrection resulted in multiple deaths, including an officer, dozens of injuries to law enforcement and rioters, ongoing arrests, and vandalism across the Capitol.
I would never like to see something like that again. An insurrection on our Capitol. It bothered me a lot that happened. I went to law school 5 blocks from the Capitol. So
Georgetown, sorry.
Yeah, and because the law school's in downtown, not in Georgetown on the campus, and literally 5 blocks away. So I'd walk around, I'd get out at the metro right next to the Capitol, Union Station right there. And I can't imagine it being attacked the way it was. It's just like, really? Like, so I hope nothing like that happens in our lifetime again. But I do say that was a tipping point, because Americans were able to see how far Trump was willing to cheat to try to win the election. He was actually inciting violence on our institutions, on Congress. He incited violence on Congress and tried to take over forcibly the presidency. And there's no way to exaggerate that.
Is that what led you to run for Senate, or is it something else? And if so, what was it?
My decision to run goes back when I served with the Bush administration. I was up at the Department of Justice. It was very interesting work. We prosecuted people who discriminated against immigrants in the Civil Rights Division. I liked the work a lot. And while working there, Rubio wasn't even on the radar. They were writing immigration laws. And when I asked people who wrote the immigration laws certain basic topics about it, they really didn't know much about immigration law. They got researchers to put together laws that were 500 pages long, and they got behind talking points, and they really couldn't tell you what it was like to deport an immigrant or represent them in federal court. They really couldn't. I have fought on behalf of hundreds, if not thousands, of political asylum applicants in our courts who fled communism, who fled dictatorial regimes. I've been in court doing it for years. So
are you saying that because you're an immigration attorney?
Right. And primarily in my early years, I did political asylum for Haitians, Cubans, Nicaraguans, Salvadorans, Venezuelans. So I argue on behalf of people who are fleeing dictatorial and communist regimes. Okay. So if an opposing candidate tries to put me in a box, I'll be like, I haven't seen you fighting for people fleeing communism in court. I did it. I've done it my whole life. So
why now?
I'll tell you, because when I came home, my kids were teenagers, and I was traveling a lot during that time. And I thought about running. In 2010, I actually formed the Exploratory to run for House, but I decided not to go through with it because my kids were still, Jonathan, my youngest, was going to NYU. I had to raise money for college. I thought, I don't want to do this. I want to continue helping my kids until they're finished college. And they're now all my kids. My oldest is married. He's got a baby. My daughter's a lawyer now. My youngest, Jonathan, runs his own mid-century furniture place here in Little Haiti. So they're kind of established. So in my personal life, I'm in a position, I feel, to do this. And I wasn't really that much 10 years ago. Now, as a senator, any laws that I support or write will be applied to the whole country, not just Florida. I'm a senator and I'm in the federal system in D.C. So anything that I'm working on is going to be a national law. It's not going to be a law just for the state of Florida. So I want to clarify that. Now, I believe, obviously the governor of Florida can do what he wants for the state of Florida because he's dealing with Florida state law. But As a US Senator, I'm dealing with federal laws. Now, as a senator in DC, I can recommend things to the governor that they could do for the state of Florida, but in reality, the laws we're going to be passing are for the whole country. But I do think, I'm glad you took me back to the state.
How do you feel your background as an immigration lawyer, how are you going to take that into your role as a senator?
No, great.
Like one thing.
Yeah, and okay. It's going to inform a lot of the decisions that I make, because as an immigration lawyer, I work mainly with populations that are scared, they're marginalized, they're discriminated against, and I've learned to do the best that I could to protect them. So from there comes, you know, not just them getting their citizenship, but healthcare, you know, and I'm looking at it through the lens of these people that are in marginalized populations. So the fact that I've been an immigration lawyer is really affecting a lot of what I do, because I generally am thinking about what's best for my clients, and not, and I hate to say it, but big law firms are thinking who can pay the most fees, you know, corporate
Right.
firms. I'm looking at how I can best protect my clients. And that's the same kind of attitude I'm going to take to when push comes to shove and a decision has to be made between corporate America and poor America, I'm going with poor America.
Do you think you understand Florida voters and their concerns well enough, as well as Marco Rubio might?
I think I understand them better than he does, because I think Marco Rubio lives in a world that doesn't include everyone. I don't think he reaches out and deals with the people that I deal with in South Florida. I'm married to a Filipina from the other side of the world. I'm Cuban American at heart. My dad, as I said, fought the communists and he barely made it out of Cuba alive. I have fought for Cubans and Nicaraguans and people fleeing communist regimes and dictatorial regimes for years. We live in a very diverse country now. Marco Rubio doesn't. Marco Rubio lives in his little Cuban American box. I have a brother-in-law who's Haitian. I have another brother-in-law that's Italian. I have another brother-in-law that's Vietnamese. I have another brother-in-law that's Filipino. When you go to a party at my house, it's like the United Nations. And as far as sexual orientation, please, I'm not going to break anybody's anonymity, but we are extremely open at home. So that's the Florida that I know. It's not just the Cubans on Calle Ocho, it's the Cubans in Homestead and the Mexican in Homestead that I've been representing for years, and the Guatemalans in Palm Beach, and the Venezuelans in Doral, and the Asians in North Miami, and the Asians in Orlando. I honestly think I understand Floridians a lot better.
What about the Floridians in Polk County, Alachua County?
I'm looking forward to talking to them, what they think is needed. I'd like to know what's most important to their family and to their family's future. I can ask them what they believe is best for the state of Florida, but people generally are not thinking what's best for the state of Florida when they wake up in the morning. They're thinking of paying their bills. They're thinking of medical care. They're thinking of their grandparents that they have to help with some type of health insurance. They're thinking of where the kids are going to go to school. They're thinking about where they're going to work. So I like to get into asking the people in Polk County and anywhere else around the state of Florida, what do you believe is most important right now for your family? How can we make the future of your family better? And then from there, from that conversation, help develop, strengthen our platform. Not ignoring anybody.
Saying you're senator and we're looking at this situation that's happening right now in Key West, where the residents are asking the cruise lines to stopping in Key West because they're dropping off thousands of people on a daily basis, causing a lot of damage to the city, creating issues with the coral reefs, etc. And no one is basically paying attention to them. What, as senator, can you affect change? Because I want people to understand the difference between federal, what you were talking about at the beginning of our conversation, what a federal person does and a more local or state person does?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question.
Because I've always had that question, by the way, before you start, you know, what has Rubio done for us?
Well, I've asked hundreds of people, not one of them could give me a solid answer. Not one. I'm not kidding you. What has he done for Florida? I'm still asking, and I swear to you, it's the truth.
He hasn't signed the COVID relief package. He's not going to sign the
He was
infrastructure
against
package.
the COVID relief package. He's against Biden's Immigration Act, which is fantastic. It'll help 12 to 15 million undocumented people get work permits, pay billions of dollars in taxes. Who doesn't want that?
How can you be the child of immigrants?
And he says it's an amnesty.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
How can you be the child of immigrants and be against immigration reform?
You know, it befuddles me. Just so all those things that he's against, I'm for a lot of them. So, okay, going to Key West. It's a local Key West issue. As a senator, I would like to go talk to the people in Key West, and you have a bit of a pulpit as senator to give an opinion on something. And then that could help shape some of the discussion. Right? So after, it won't change the law in Key West, because that's an issue for the city of Key West. The city of Key West should be able to decide on their own whether they're going to allow the ships to stop there or not. So that's a city of Key West issue. It's not a Miami issue. It's not a Tampa issue.
So you go down to the Keys.
I go down there.
You make an appearance. You're in solidarity with them. You bring more attention to the problem.
There you go.
And then you go back to Washington and your phone rings and it's Norwegian Caribbean, Carnival Cruise Lines, saying, what the hell are you doing to our business?
If I honestly believe that they're hurting the habitat in the waters there, and I honestly believe that the majority of it may be people making noise, because that's usually what happens in these movements, is a few people making noise. But if they're actually representing the majority of the people in Key West, and Key West decides to stop it, I'm with them. Royal Caribbean can call me up and I will tell them, sorry, buddy. I have talked to the people in Key West, and many of them don't want your ships there. So your ships are not going to Key West. I didn't make that decision. The people of Key West made that decision. I'm not going to help you make more billions of dollars. Take your ship and go somewhere else. That's how I feel about it. Now, I'm not just going to go based on, what a few people are saying, because I've heard about it. I don't know the statistics on it.
No, understood.
You know what I mean? My concern, and it's been my concern ever since I worked in D.C. 15 years ago, is, are the congressmen and women and are the senators really doing it to make the country better? Are they really? Or are they just doing it to win votes? Because I noticed a lot up there in D.C. that people were doing things, not because they really cared about it, but because other Democrats were doing it, so they were doing it. And then they'd form a caucus to get attention. What are you going to get from it? Is it going to make the country better, dude? Or you just want to get together and, since you're one of the deciding votes now, you got all these new ideas. How is it going to make the country better? Oh, we got a caucus in order to, well, you guys been there. You were elected freaking years ago. Tell me what you're going to do. Not just that you're going to form some committee and caucus. What are you going to do to make the country better? How is the
action?
What's the action? Right. That's what I'm looking for.